So what is this? You think you can just flop down on the floor wherever you want? Huh? Huh? What are you doing? What do you think this is? Huh? What are you doing? Okay, so good morning. I've been waiting 2 years now because they skipped last year for some reason. I think it was because of I don't even know what it was, but this is the 9 Dots prize. You can see that. And the prize is $100,000, and it's to work on a book off of the answer of your question if you win the contest. And only one person wins. And this is this year's question, and I'm very disappointed. It's, what does it mean to be young in an aging world? And first off, is that the way you're supposed to spell aging? Ageing? Because to me that's interesting, because I always just spelled it Aging. But maybe you can spell it both ways. But I'm really disappointed about this question. I'm still probably gonna make a run of it. I did it for 2 other years that I knew about it. I don't know how long the contest has actually been going on. And I got my cat Alistair right here with me because I was eating boiled eggs, and he is obsessed with boiled eggs, aren't you? Tell him how much you love boiled eggs. Let's see. Look. Look. What is that? But anyways, back to what I was talking about. You're supposed to solve the question using lateral thinking, and if you've never done it, look up lateral thinking on Wikipedia or on the internet. It's very interesting, because I thought that I knew what lateral thinking means, and I did to an extent, but I thought it was the same almost as critical thinking, but it's not at all. And the Wikipedia about lateral thinking is really, really interesting, and the tools you can use to come up with a solution. And I'm actually going to try that with this. And the other 2 times that I did this contest, I really pulled off the lateral thinking thing really well, I think. In fact, the first time that I did it was the question, or I think it was, is digital media making politics impossible? That's what the first question I ever did was. And the answer that I gave in my essay was the exact same thing as the guy that won, who was a former employee of Google, incidentally, and he said it 1,000 times better than I ever could have said it, and so that's why he won, obviously. But, you know, if you win the $1,000, it's to support you for a year while you write a book about the subject. Which this year, it's what does it mean to be young in an aging world? An aging world. And I have a lot to talk about today. I'm really excited about a lot of different things. And yes, it's 9:30 a.m. and I'm sitting on my bed because I was outside already. I did all my morning stuff I have to do, so I was just sitting here goofing off for a little bit, and I have a lot of things to do today, and I'm going to work on the bat ball later. Anybody who's been following me knows I'm carving a decorative ball, and I have the stencil cut for the bat, and today I'm actually going to carve the bat into the ball. So I want to finish it by Halloween. I hope I do. But I'm really disappointed about this question, and maybe after I give it some more thought, I don't know, maybe you can give me some ideas in the comments below this video, but right now I can't think of anything just off the top of my head. I haven't really thought about it. I'm reading that Earth Children series. I'm actually listening to it on audiobook now. Oh my gosh, is that good. You guys got to listen to that. It has sex scenes in it that are pretty steamy, so if that sort of thing bothers you, don't listen to it, but it's really, really good. It's adventure, it's romance, it's knowledge, about different plants and things. It's a really interesting series. Gene Aul did a great job on that, and I can't believe it's been around as long as it has and has escaped my attention until now. So I have a lot to talk about today, and a lot has been going on with me, so this video is probably going to be kind of long, but I'm also going to make another separate video about the bat ball. So you see from the other day how big these got. They're so hard to lift now. That will get literally about 2 feet longer. These two I'm saving for seeds, and I gave one away to a friend that was small and edible. When they're small, these are the Kakuza squashes. You can eat them like a cucumber or like a zucchini. You can cook them, or you can just eat them raw, but these are too big to eat. They start getting too, I don't know, like they get this like foamy, fleshy stuff inside of them that's not really good once they start getting bigger. Man, I'll tell you what, the mosquitoes are just rabid out here this morning. And they're landing all over my back. I'm going, man, I can't even hardly do a video because they're biting me so much. But yeah, they get pretty big though. They get about 3 to 3.5 foot long if you let them. I'm actually going to tie these ones up higher eventually once they start completely touching the ground, because I don't want them laying on the ground. But they've grown quite a bit, as you've seen from the earlier video in this. What are you doing? Rocky Marciano. Rocky Marciano. Rocky Marciano. Hey, do you always get in fights? Do you always get in fights? Is that why your name is Rocky Marciano? Huh? Huh? He always gets in fights. He's always got cuts all over his face and his ears. But he's got pretty blue eyes. And see, his paw pads are pink. Did you see that? They're like baby pink. And he likes to bite. He's not a house cat. He is a feral white freaking cat. You see that his paw pads are pink, like baby pink. Yeah, you're a cutie, huh? Yeah, and he only likes me. He don't like nobody else. This is one of the things I wanted to show you that are happening with me. My friend brought me these, and he's been telling me about them for weeks. And they're wild creeping cucumbers. And my brother told me that he got some, a couple years ago, some seeds for him at a garden nursery, and they called them Mexican cucumbers. And he said his kind of tasted sort of sour, tangy, sort of. These ones taste almost exactly like a watermelon. And I had one yesterday, and they were really, really good. And I got seeds for them, and also have seeds coming in the mail for them, and I don't know if they're the same variety, but I'm really excited about these. And they came up wild in his yard. And this is what I'm telling you, folks. You know, watch what's coming up in your yard. It's not always a weed. You know, somehow humans forgot about most plants are either edible or medicinal. You know, that they shouldn't be sprayed. They shouldn't be gotten rid of. You know, we go to the store and we spend, you know, tons of money buying vegetables, and to the point where you kind of get sick of eating the vegetables, you know, the mainstream vegetables that they have in the stores. And it's like, you know, food becomes boring when there's so many exciting things out there to try that are safe to eat. You can look up the Wikipedia for this. It's wild creeping cucumber. I forget what the technical name is. If I thought hard enough, I could remember it, but I don't. You know what? I'll come back in a minute and tell you. But I also wanted to say, and I'll talk a little more about these too, but I also wanted to say also this week in my garden, I saw this vine growing, and it was really interesting. And watch for a picture of the leaf of it at the very end of this video, because that's all I've taken a picture of so far is just one leaf, and that was just to identify it. But it actually turned out to be what they call a Mustang grapevine. And they are a very tart grape that grows here where I am, and out west and down south in general. And you can make wine out of them. You can make jelly, you know, just normal things out of grapes. You know, if you add sugar to them, you can just eat them. One of my friends said that they had some in their yard before, and that them and their kids were eating them and weren't putting sugar on them, and they said they were really good. They tasted more like a green grape, even though they're a purple grape. So, you know, another gift from the birds or the wind or whatever, you know. You know, I'm growing all this stuff out there right now. I've got like 4 or 5 different kinds of kale and 4 or 5 different kinds of lettuce, and broccoli growing and celery growing, and plantain and dandelion and all this stuff I've planted, and up pops this Mustang grapevine, you know. And it's like, hey, you know, well, heck yeah. You know, and I mean, I keep discovering new plants that are native to where I am that are just unbelievably fabulous. This year is the first Thanksgiving you're going to have without Bambi. The first Thanksgiving you're going to have without Bambi. And you would get the ham bone all to yourself, but Thanksgiving's canceled because of coronavirus. Oh, okay, she says, I don't care. She says, I don't care. Okay, I had to look it up. It's the wild creeping cucumber is Melothria pendula. And just a note about these, they're great to eat when they're green. You can eat them raw. You can just pop them in your mouth. And like I said, my brother said the ones he had tasted like kind of sour, kind of tangy. Mine tasted like a watermelon, and they would be great in a salad. And I have not had one in a salad yet because I just got them yesterday. And um, he also brought me some of the ones that had turned black on the vine. And when they turn black, they're considered to be slightly toxic in that they're an extremely strong laxative. So if you have anybody that you can't stand, no, I'm kidding. Oh man, yeah, that fire starter guy. What was his? Elias Pendergrass. They need to feed him some of that in his morning breakfast. um, I know I keep picking on that guy, but oh, okay, I'm not gonna go there. But so I was looking this up, and I saw that they are host plant to this. I guess it's a moth or a butterfly. I'm not really sure. It's a moth. Well, there's all my YouTube trolling boomer beetle fans. How do brains act? Thank you, YouTube, for all those alerts. But anyways, what I was saying, the Hypercampa cunigunda, it's a moth, and it uses this creeping cucumber plant for its host plant, meaning that it lays its eggs on that plant, and the larvae and caterpillars from that egg eat that plant to grow up to become one of these moths. And I think those are pretty amazing looking, but my friend was telling me, oh no, they only live in South America. No, they only live in South America. And I was, of course, arguing with him and telling him, that we have a very similar climate to there. And it's possible they could show up here, and he should keep an eye on his vines for the caterpillars. And I was like, what do the caterpillars look like anyways? And so I was going to look up the Hypercampa cunigunda larvae, and instead I discovered that Hypercampa family, I don't know if you call it a genus or a family, probably a genus, because the family is Erybidae. But that Hypercampa genus has, oh my gosh, so many moths. One is the giant leopard moth, and he has actually had those at his house. So one thing led to another, and I'll be back in a minute. Hold on. Okay, first up, this guy, Casper Stahl. He studied that moth that uses that creeping cucumber vine as a host, and it says he probably lived between 1725 and 1730 to 1791. Was a naturalist and entomologist, best known for the completion of I don't know how to say that. It's I don't know how to say that. A work on butterflies begun by Peter Kramer. He also published several works of his own on other insect groups. Stoll's 1787 publication on stick insects, which I would really be interested in seeing, by the way. Mantids and their relatives is also well known. Oh my gosh. My friend unwittingly sent me down the most enormous rabbit hole today. that he possibly could have sent me down. And he's the one who also introduced me to that Earth Children series that I'm reading. He's very good at sending me down these rabbit holes. He is. So then when I looked up about the leopard moth that had been in his yard to see what host plants it uses, I found out about this guy, Jacob Hubner. June 20th, 1761 to September 13th, 1826 in Augsburg. Was a German entomologist. He was the author of Sammlung, I can't speak German, I don't know what that is, a founding work on entomology. Hubner was the author of that thing I just said. A founding work on entomology. He was one of the first specialists to work on the European Lepidoptera. He described many new species, for example, Cecia bembexiformis and Euclotagus. I'm so lost with these. Many of them common. He has described many new genre and species. He was a designer and engraver, which is weird because that's kind of what I'm going to do today with the bat ball. And from 1786, he worked for 3 years as a designer and engraver at a cotton factory in Ukraine. There he collected butterflies and moths, including descriptions. Boy, I'll tell you what, YouTube is on the march today with these alerts. So, just another interesting guy. So this was the other interesting guy that the Casper guy was finishing his book for him for some reason. I have to read more about it. I mean, this guy started the book and then he finished it. I don't know if you just say Peter or is it Pieter Kramer. 1721 to 1776 was a wealthy Dutch merchant in linen and Spanish wool, remembered as an entomologist. Kramer was the director of the Zealand Society, a scientific society located in Flushing, and a member of Concordia at I can't talk today, based in Amsterdam. This literary and patriotic society, where Kramer gave lectures on minerals, commissioned and or financed the publishing of his book, I'm not even going to try to say that, on foreign exotic butterflies occurring in 3 parts of the world, Asia, Africa, and America. Kramer assembled an extensive natural history collection that includes seashells, petrifications, and insects of all orders. And you can read the rest of this on Wikipedia yourself. But there are 3 interesting characters. Got 2 interesting wild plants introduced into my life in the past week. And there's some other interesting things, like these books that they're mentioning here. And, looking up the Zealand Society. Like, what is that? And all these different creatures and plants, and just really excited about some things today, and excited I finally got a little bit of time today to work on my bat ball, and that's going to be a separate video because I'm going to make that in phases as I finish it out.